På vegne av Strand Forlag og Flyktninghjelpen så vil jeg ønske velkommen til denne kvelden her og dette bokbadet eller boksamtalen med Omar Mohamed. Jeg skal bare fortelle kort litt sånn først. Det blir et samtaleprogram her som kommer til først så kommer jeg til å snakke litt med Omar, og så kommer vi etter hvert til å få besøk av Stine Paus fra Flyktninghjelpen som blir med oss i samtalen. Det blir mulighet for å stille noen spørsmål fra salen mot slutten, eller helt på slutten. Og så blir det mulighet for å få signert bøker nede i første etasje ganske umiddelbart etter arrangementet. Så da kommer i alle fall Omar og jeg til å trekke ned dit. Så vet dere det. Fra nå så kommer samtalen til å foregå på engelsk. Så vi får bare gjøre det på den måten. Jeg tror det er bedre enn at jeg prøver å snakke somali. I said, from now on the conversation will be in English because I think it's better than if I try to speak Somali.
I have no idea what you say.
You can just laugh.
Okay.
Just laugh. Yeah. Good. So, please welcome to us all the way from Mechanicsburg in Pennsylvania, Omar Mohamed. We are so you are the author of this book, When Stars Are Scattered, or in norsk, Stjerner, mørke, which you co-authored together with the illustrator and cartoonist Victoria Jameson in this picture. Jameson could unfortunately not be here with us in Norway, but she has sent us a little greeting, which we will see later. So I hear actually this book is translated to 10 languages now, among them Spanish and Chinese and Japanese. So I know you have traveled a lot with your book, but I hear actually this is your first trip outside of the United States, is that correct?
Yes.
So how has it been so far?
It has been wonderful. I wish I could stay longer here in Norway, but I have to go back because I have kids and family to take care.
Yeah, I think that's best. So this book is the story of Omar's childhood and youth as a refugee in the refugee camp complex that's called Dadaab in Kenya, where you actually spent the better half of your entire upbringing. But if we want to step back a little, that was not the way your life was actually supposed to be from the start. So can you tell us a little bit about your early years and what your future was looking like at that time?
Thank you very much for having me. It's really an honor to join you guys all here today. My name is Omar Mohamed. I'm the guy with the red t-shirt. The pictures in the cover, the other one is Hassan. So my life was normal before the war in Somalia. I was 4 years old. My brother was 2 years old. I have 3 sisters. You will meet them in the future books. And my dad was a farmer. He owned one of the largest farms in the village or in the small town that we lived. He was also a pastoralist. He had 100 cows, 100 camels, goats, and he employed other people. So we were what you guys called a middle-class family. So our parents were able to provide everything and anything that we needed. And they never imagined that their children will ever need to go to a refugee camp or will never flee outside from their home country to grow up in a refugee camp. And that is the same thing applies to you guys. It's something that you will never imagine your child or your daughter, your son will never flee from Norway and grow up in a refugee camp. That is the same thing that my parents thought of when they had us and when we were growing up as a baby. It's something that we never imagined, and it's something that any family never ever experienced. Thank you.
But then, as we know, the war in Somalia happened in the early 1990s, and you actually had to flee on foot and ended up in the refugee camp Dadaab. So, who did you come there with?
A lot of times we talk about refugees fleeing from their home country, when the refugees are fleeing, it's not something that they plan, it's not something that they organize, it's not something like they say, everybody get your belongings, get your gather, we are going to leave in 1 week, we are going to leave tomorrow. No. God forbid, we are right here now, you have to flee from here. Nobody goes to their car, nobody goes to their house to grab anything. No, you flee with whatever you have. So for me, I was home with my younger brother, my dad at the farm, my mom at the market. Then we have to flee from home with our neighbors. So how does the fleeing happen for refugees is, fleeing happens, you go through the bushes, for some people walking, and it took about 3 or more or less, about 3 months to come to the neighboring country. Because you can't use the main roads, that's where the military or the militia travels forth and back. So, and also, if I take advantage of, to mention refugees fleeing from their home country, a lot of them lost their life when they were seeking refuge. We will never ever able to hear their stories. We will never ever able to hear them, but we will always hear about those who are able to survive and who are able to make refuge. So it's a long process, long journey that can take up to 3 months. And it's similar. My story is just like any other refugee story. If they're from Ukraine, or if they're fleeing from Gaza right now, or if they're fleeing from Syria, Afghanistan, or from Congo, wherever they're fleeing from, we all have one thing in common. We were forced to flee from our home country, and that is who those refugees are.
Mm. And so you came there
with my younger brother,
with your younger brother Hassan,
who has also intellectual disabilities. He's non-verbal, he has epilepsy and seizure, and he doesn't speak. The only word that he says that we mentioned in the book is hoyo, which means mom. That is the only way that's how people that's how he addresses everyone he encounters, young or adult, whatever he meets. He will tell them hoyo and likes to greet people.
It's a very touching moment in the book, when that is revealed. So after you come there, you can read more about how you come to the camp in the book. It is only told pretty late in the book. But from the start in the book, you are approximately 11 years old, I think, and you are in care of your foster mother, Fatuma. But however, you didn't go to school like the other kids on your age at that time. So why didn't you go to school at first, and what made you change your mind?
Actually, it was very tough, because when the refugees come to the camp, everything and anything that was available in the camp was not enough. You mentioned food, clothes, everything and anything that was available in the camp at that time, the early years, 1990s, was not enough at all. So for me, I have to decide, should I take care of my younger brother who has intellectual disabilities, who needs my help 24/7, or should I go to school? So it was really tough decision to make, but I was later convinced by a social worker by the name Salan, who was a community worker, who told me if I go to school, get a better education for myself, then I will be able to better help my brother, myself, and also my community. And then Fatuma also, who was helping us at that time, was able also to convince me to say, okay, she will take care of Hassan when I'm at school. But it was always very hard, because Hassan, me and him, we never been separated for such a long time, and we have been together 24/7 all the time. So it was really hard for me to be at school for 8 hours, 9 hours, and not knowing how my brother is doing. Because Hassan, once he leaves, he doesn't know he's going back home, and someone has to help him all the time. So the early years was very hard. It was very challenging.
And I think if you read the book, you're going to see, I think you are going to cry like me when you see Omar coming home from school after the first day away from Hassan. It's a very, very beautiful moment. So, can you describe what school was like after you started? You got to start in 5th grade, I think, directly.
Yeah.
You didn't want to go with the small kids. Can you describe what school was like?
Schools in the refugee camps at that time, now it has improved a little bit, but at that time the areas were very, very overcrowded, were very, very congested, and there were no desks, no chairs, nothing. Students will sit on the floor. They all depend on the note the teacher writes on the board. And the notebooks sometimes they are not available. You will have one notebook with 5 subjects. One side you write English, the other side you write math. In the middle you write other subjects. And a pencil, you may have it until you can't hold it anymore. And a pen, you will use it until you run out of ink. I usually share this with the younger audience because they get guaranteed what they have now. So I always tell them it's always to take grateful of the resources, the opportunities that you have. There's a child somewhere in a refugee camp that doesn't have such opportunities and such resources. But we all have one thing in common. We are all committed to get an education for ourselves. And those are some pictures. Those are late pictures in 2023. And you can still see how some students are sitting on the floor just to come to school, and how they are very congested. Sometimes they sit in 4th or in 3 numbers in for 4 students, and it is very, very, very challenging to be a student and to be a student in those schools at that time. This is even when it improved. This is pictures of 2023.
So, one of the things that I think many people love about your book is the way that you incorporate like all the different aspects of life in the refugee camp. That you get to see the hardships, all the problems, all the uncertainty, and all the time-consuming problems. But you also get to see like the ordinary life. You get to see the boredom, just the waiting in line. But you also get to see some of the good things. Being at the Quran school, having the Eid celebration, and your friendships, and the beautiful friendship that you have with your brother. Was this a conscious choice to you to show also the good things from the camp?
Yeah, because we wanted to tell my story within another story. That's why we also included other characters in the book, people like Nim or Mariam, to highlight not only people with also people with disability, someone like my brother and also Jerry. We wanted to tell my story within another story, and we also wanted to tell not only the sad part of the refugee camp. We also wanted to highlight some good parts of, although there's even minimal, nothing good about the camp, but just to highlight some few good things about the camp. And one thing that was super good about the camp was the community, how they loved and take care of each other, sharing also the little resources that was available among themselves. And also, it taught us also patience, to be patient and all the time, because of this long line for everything. So that is why we wanted also to show, also us as children playing sports like football, made out of plastic bags, although there was no real soccer balls in the refugee camp at that time. It was good to be a child than to be an adult in the refugee camp at that moment. Because we children, we were innocent, we have no idea. But the mothers and the fathers, the pain and the struggle, they go, the child, they send you to school and not knowing if they have anything to feed them after they come from school. Your child is crying for something as simple as water or milk, but you have nothing to give him or her. That is the extra pain or the challenge those adults, those mothers, fathers were going through, rather than being a child running around, not knowing what's happening. Thank you.
And there are so many things that we could talk about from the book, but I think one of the most important things that we need to mention is the list. The list is a big deal in your story, in the book and also in your story. What is the list that everybody is talking about? Yeah, it's behind you.
I'm like, what list?
Yeah, what list? Oh, you think?
I can read, this is in the
Yeah, exactly.
The list, do you mean the resettlement opportunities? Yes. Okay, the interviews is, a lot of you may not know how the process of resettlement works, how the refugees come to Norway or the rest of Europe or USA or Canada, but 1% are considered to be resettled. Then 1% of the 1% that were considered will make it to the end of the interviews. Because for those, if you come here as a refugee, they all come first legally. No refugee ever comes to any country around the world illegally. They all come legally as a refugee. That process of resettlement usually takes about 7 to 10 years. Why? Because you'll be interviewed, re-interviewed, screened, re-screened, medically checked, and then the hosting country, for example, I'm familiar with the US, there are people called USCIS. That's the final interview that you'll make with the USCIS, and they will give the green light to your case. Then that is when you can be resettled to that country. The sad part is then you end up coming to Norway or USA, and the people think you came here illegally. They will tell you, go back to where you are from. You don't belong here. They have no idea what process and how the long journeys that you came and the long interviews that you did to come to this country. Also, imagine you are sharing your story, so-called officers, that you don't know if they are going to approve your case or if they are going to decline your case. You don't know, but you have to share your story with them, hoping that they will approve. In the book, we also mentioned how they make the final decision. You'll be given envelope. You either denied or you are accepted. So you can't imagine what those families go through after their case has been denied, because they have been waiting for 20-something years in this refugee camp, one day for them to be approved, and then finally when they get that envelope that says their case has been denied, a lot of them, they will become mentally unstable. And there's no institution that help them, nothing, nobody giving them orientation after that. They will just be left alone, and they will wander around, and they will be traumatized for the rest of their life. Yes. So my advice to you is, if you ever encounter newly arrived refugees, please be kind to them and be welcoming. The host community really plays a big role for the refugees or for immigrants to succeed in life here in Norway. If this hostile community does not welcoming, the more struggle those people are going to face. But the more welcoming it is, then the easier it's going to be for them, and the easier it's going for them to forget for the challenges and the struggle they went through. But in the US, unfortunately, it's a different story, but we'll keep it.
So 1% of 1%. Those are very tough numbers, and I think one of the things that you discuss in your book is that on the one hand there is the moral to work hard and to do the best with what you have, to go to school, to get an education, and to do whatever you can do to improve your life. And on the other hand, there is the thing that is almost pure luck, to be chosen.
Yeah.
And how do you think these two work together? Like, what is the relation between working hard and just being lucky?
Yeah, actually, luck is not going just to come. It's not going to come to you by just doing nothing. To meet the luck itself, you have to at least make some movement. Otherwise, if you say, I'm just gonna wait for my luck and sit here, do nothing, luck will not find you. Sometimes the luck itself. You have to be at the right place, the right time, the right location. So, for us, we had no other option. What can you do? In the camp, I forget to mention, we call it open prison. You have no other option to do but wait, do nothing, just see what happens. And it's very, very sad. That's the most difficult thing to live in a refugee camp, is the uncertainty, not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen next month, what's going to happen next. You have no idea. Every day is just, you will just treat as it comes. Maybe if it comes with good luck, you're very lucky. If it comes with nothing, just sit, and it's very boring life. Yeah.
So, I think everybody understands from now that you made it to the United States in the end.
Yes.
It's not a spoiler since you're sitting here. What inspired you to start writing your story and to make a book out of your story?
before I came, I always wanted to share my story with the rest of the world, and there are several reasons. One, I wanted to be a voice for those refugee children who are around the world who don't have the resources or the ability to share their story. Because as I said earlier, my story is just like any other refugee story. If they're from Syria, wherever they are from, it's just similar because we all have one thing in common. We were all forced to flee from our home country. So I didn't want to sit down and hear from someone else who has never been to a refugee camp, who didn't go to, have never seen a refugee camp, just tell about our story. So I really wanted to be us refugees telling our story. And I wasn't sure where to start. So in the beginning, I had a rough draft written in hand. Then when I came to the US, I copied I typed. And then later I was able to meet with Victoria Jameson, which helped me publish my story. And in the beginning, I wasn't sure because in this part of the world, the Western country, you have to have some connection. You have to know someone to do something at least. You can't just come to know you and start from zero. Someone has to guide you. Someone has to help you. So I was very lucky. I had my story. The only thing I could do was have my stuff ready. So when the opportunity comes, I have all my stories written down and ready to go. And then one day, as a case manager, helping new arrived refugees, sitting in my office, Victoria Jameson comes, meets with one of our communication directors at Church World Service. She says she's interested in writing about refugee stories. And then my friend told her, hey, Omar, who's a former refugee, already has a story written, so maybe you can talk to him. So we talked to each other, so I let her read my rough draft, and she immediately liked it. And then that's how it moved. It didn't even take them a month to approve the Penguin, to approve that they wanted to publish the book. But Victoria has to convince me to make it in graphic novel. Because for me as a new author, I already knew which one was the best. But I'm sure one thing I'm grateful to Victoria was she convinced me to make it graphic novel. The one big reason was if it wasn't graphic novel, then you guys or the younger audience may assume when we talk about schools, they may think the same school as they go. When we talk about housing, they may think similar housing that they have. Roads, everything, they may assume the same thing that they've always seen. But them seeing how the pictures and how the housing looks like really helps them to understand the difference of housing, different of things that you have to do.
Yeah. So we are now going to see a little greeting from Victoria Jameson that she has recorded for us. So maybe we can just turn the lights down a little bit and here you go.